Hey guys, welcome to video series on software design and modeling or object-oriented analysis and design. Myself, Ravi Patki from Rise and Shine. So I'm again welcome you to this video series. So this video series is on software design and modeling, or in some university, for some branches, this subject is called as object-oriented analysis and design. So this is SDM OAD using UML, and this is very first video in this video series, and we are going to see what are the different views of software development. So in this series, I'm not going to cover just the concept, but what are the questions will be asked in university exam, how to write the answer to these questions, what are the marking schemes, each and everything I'm going to discuss. Along with this, I will teach you the basic concept of how to analyze and how to design the softwares using the object orientation. That is, your orientation is different. That is, we are viewing each and every system through the perspective of object orientation. So I'm again welcome you all my student to this video series on SDM or OAD or OMT, object modeling technique using unified modeling language, which is one of the graphical or modeling language used to create the blueprint of software. So without wasting your time, let us start. This is very first session, views of software development. In this session, we are going to discuss first thing, what do you mean by methodology or what is a methodology? Then we are going to see the different methodologies to design this software, such as traditional software development methodology. What are the drawbacks of this traditional software development? What do you mean by object-oriented software development? And why object-oriented? Why we should use this orientation to design, to analyze, to implement the software system. So we'll see all these concepts one by one. So first we are going to see what is methodology. So methodology is a systematic way of doing the things, whether it is a building a wall, or it is a building a software, or it is building any system, civil system or mechanical system or software system or simple a wall. A methodology is nothing but it is a systematic way of doing something or doing the things, doing the projects. Next, a methodology should specify what we are expected to produce as we are following the processes. So what is the output? It is clear. Methodology should specify what we are expected. What is the final output? What is the input and what is the final output? Also, a methodology will include the recommendation or technique for resource management, planning, scheduling, other management tasks. Means technical plus management, both the aspects are there in a methodology, managerial aspect as well as technical aspect. We are covering both the things, methodology. So there are also software development methodologies. So during the last few decades, number of software development methodologies, models have been proposed and discussed with software engineering community. We already learn at third year or second year level, software engineering. There are so many methodologies such as perspective models, waterfall model, which is linear in nature, then incremental models, which are again linear and simultaneous. Then we have seen some cyclic model or circular model, prototyping or spiral models. So each and every model is having some pros and cons. Or then we have seen the agile methodologies, extreme programming, DevOps. So during the last few decades, number of software development methodologies and models have been proposed and discussed with the software engineering community. Each and every model methodology has some pros and cons. Or according to whatever application we are developing, we are using that methodologies and models. So For software development also, there are two methodologies. Number one is traditional software development. Move forward in this methodology, we are moving forward gracefully from one phase to another phase, and our more focus is on doing the things, functionality, traditional software development. Next is object-oriented software development, or sometimes it is called as unified approach, which allow to perform each phase in software development or SDLC more than once, and in any order we are performing object. And here more focus is on the real world entities itself. Name itself suggests us object oriented. So these are two methodologies, and in this subject we are going to see this unified approach or object oriented methodology thoroughly in more detail with the help of UML, which is Unified Modeling Language, a language which is used to create the blueprint of software. Next, we are going to see the traditional software development, or it is sometimes called as structural or procedural software development, or prescriptive software development, prescriptive model. So this is a traditional or structural software development. Step by step we are moving. The traditional software development methodologies are based on pre-organized stages of the software development life cycle. That is, we are going step by step, that steps are decided, already decided. What is the next step? What is the next step? So we are moving step by step. Traditional software development are based on pre-organized stages. So it is called as already prescribed, written. Do this, this, and this, and this, and in this way we are moving forward. So procedural paradigm, or this paradigm, focuses on algorithms or steps necessary to solve the problem. Its primary focus is on functions of the system. What are the functions? What are the functions? What will system do one after another? So in this methodology, we decompose the main problem into simple sub-problems represented by procedure, functions, method. The procedural decomposition is there. This procedural decomposition was typically described as a hierarchy, or either just a list or a tree. That is, this function will call this, and again this. In this way, there is one root function or a main function, and sub functions are there, or they are mostly data driven. Things are there. So the traditional process system design start with defining the system boundaries and developing the data flow diagrams, then flow chart, then entity relationship diagram to design the domain level of the data or databases. Then we design the control flow diagram. Then we design the structure chart. You already know the DFD. After that, we are dividing that DFD into transaction flow and the transform flows depending upon the application needs. So, or at broad level, we will use the transaction flow, and at lower level, we are using transform flows. So again, we are drawing some flow charts, ERDs, control flow, structural charts, or some pseudo type of coding charts we are developing. So in this way, we are moving. That is more, we are doing the documentation also phase by phase. That is for every phase in the output is there. Next, the business requirement, these whatever the models we are created, whatever the business requirement or model, it are translated into IT solutions. That is, code is implementation take place, then testing, then evaluation by end user, different type of testing, and finally there is a maintenance. So this is a traditional software development. Step by step we are moving, analysis, design, implementation. We are creating models, such as these tools are used to design the business or translate the business requirement, such as data flow diagram, flow chart, entity. So moral of story, traditional software development focuses on functions. Some tools are used, such as data flow diagram, flow charts, and these are the prescriptive. So next we are going to see the drawbacks of this traditional software development, or the disadvantage. Why it fall down, or why it fail, though it is a step by step, why it fell down. So first reason is, as the size and complexity of problem increases, the procedural paradigm or traditional paradigm begins to suffer from a large gap between the real world business and whatever the analysis and design model we have created. So there is a gap is there, and that gap is increasing with respect to size and complexity of the application we are developing. Then procedural paradigm and its associated decomposition often result in global data and coupled functions. Data is global, data is free in this system. It is not bounded with some functions, it is free. So global data and some coupled functions. Functions are coupled with each other, but data is moving freely. So again, to control the data or to maintain the integrity of the system become very hard task. So unfortunately, however, the data flow diagram that are produced by the analysis and design are very good for understanding, but they are more difficult to convert into running programs or convert into code. This large gap made programming difficult. This flow diagram into some programming, it is very difficult because nowadays programmings are in a different world. That is, they are in object-oriented nature, and these DFDs are procedural-oriented. So there is a huge gap, and due to this huge gap, the system or to manage this gap is very difficult for programmer to convert the business model into actual running system. The connection between the model created and functions is random and largely indefinable, and a result, the procedural paradigm produces poor problem domain understanding. The domain is not understood by the programmer. It is whatever the stakeholder in this system, implementation of system, they are at a different level. They are not at the same stage, or they are not in the same line. So there is a difficulty to manage the things. So they are, again, whatever the code we are producing, whatever component we are producing in this traditional software development, there is a less chance to reuse them, reuse that component. So there is a less chance to create and implement the reusable component. Only whatever the code we are creating, that code is limited to that system only. We can't use code for developing the another system. So these are the drawbacks of traditional software development. Still, this procedural model or traditional software development or descriptive models are still appropriate for small, simple applications, and the applications where requirements are precise. They are not increasing or not changing. Business is the stable one. There is no change in requirement. Then these traditional software developments are very good to develop such a systems. Next, we are going to see object-oriented software development, or limited to the analysis and design, OOAD. What do you mean by object-oriented analysis and design? Object-oriented paradigm focuses the real world called as object. That is, everything we are considering as object here. Instead of coupled functions, here we are using objects, and objects are nothing but the combination of data and functions that access that data and operate on them. So the primary focus of this OOAD or object-oriented software development is on data as well as functions of the system which operate on that data. That is, we are coupling some data with some functions. Now data is not moving freely in the system. So data hiding type of concept or data binding type of concept we are achieving. We are binding something, data with some functions. Next, it is a way to develop a software by building self-contained modules or objects that can easily replace, modify, and reduce. That is pluggable component we are creating here. It is a way to develop a software by building self-contained modules or objects that can be replaced, as well as we can modify it, we can reuse it. So reusability, this object-oriented software development supports reusability or promote the reusability. So this approach to system development is easier to understand because the models are built based on the user requirement, and they are mirror to real world use cases or real world business. That is, whatever the real world entities, we are mapping it to the programming entities. And whatever all the stakeholders, now they are at same level on a same line. That is, analysis is object oriented, design is also object oriented, well as implementation is also object oriented. So to convert these real world models into programming is very simple task, which is not the case with traditional software development. Next, the object-oriented approach uses the set of diagramming techniques based on special modeling language as the unified modeling language or UML. A special type of language is used. Means each and every stakeholder is on the same page. That is, this UML, due to this UML, whatever the analyst is analyzing, it is understood by the design people, and whatever the design people are designing, it is understood by the implementation, because each and everybody knows this UML. So each stakeholder is on same page. Some standardization is there. So UML is, it is a modeling language, or it is a standard to create blueprint of software, which is developed by object management group, which is one group which creates the specification for object-oriented systems, which is a worldwide group. So this UML is a specification designed by that object management group, OMT. So what do you mean by this object-oriented software development, or OOSD? So object OOSD or OOD enable us to create the set of objects that work together to produce software that better model the real world problem. Object-oriented systems are easier to adopt the changing requirement and easier to maintain. So whenever there is a change in requirement from business, obviously business is changing day by day or minute by minute. So our systems, whatever systems we are developing, that should be adaptable to this change in requirement or change in business. Object-oriented systems, or whatever the system which are developed using this paradigm, are ready to accept the changing requirement of business. Also, they are easy to maintain. Object-oriented software development promote greater design and code reuse. We already seen that is code reuse is there. Object-oriented software development promotes greater design and code reuse, because whatever this object we are creating, these are simple pluggable modules. We can replace them, we can modify them. So plug and play component type of things we can create. So object-oriented software development promotes this code reuse, or there is some inheritance type of concept which also promote reusability. Inheritance means you already learned this concept in second year or from second year, developing the new things from old one. That is, we are developing new classes, new objects using old classes or whatever the classes we have. So it promotes the reusability, or it bridges the gap between the software development process phases. Smooth development process or smooth transition is there from analysis to design and from designs to implementation. Smooth transition is there. So this is all about object-oriented software development. So why we go for this object-oriented software? First thing, higher level of abstraction at object level. So development can be processed at object level, and whatever the rest of the system we are ignoring. So what do you mean by abstraction? Concentrating on things and neglecting other background details is called as abstraction, dictionary meaning. So here we are concentrating on just object, or whatever system is designed, it is at object level. This makes designing, coding, testing, maintenance of system much easier. Next, seamless transition among different phases of software development. So as already we have seen, every stakeholder is on same page. Transaction from one type of style in one phase to the different type of style in another phase in software development slow down the development process, and this happens in traditional development process. Whatever we are analyzing and designing, it is procedure oriented or it is a function oriented. It moves around your whole design, DFDs and CFDs and structural chart and flowchart, they are moves, whatever the tools we are using in traditional, they all moves around the functions, algorithms, and whatever the programming language implementation used for implementation, they are moving around object orientation. So the transition is not seamless, not smooth from analysis to design and from design to implementation. But object-oriented system essentially uses the same style and languages to implement in all phases of software development, due to which there is a seamless transition among the different phases of software development. There is a seamless transition. That is how when analysis is finished and when design is finished, we are starting the coding. That is, we don't understand this difference. That is, we are moving from one part of SDLC to another part. So transaction from one phase to another phase is very smoothly. Next, why we are using this object orientation? Support for reusability. As objects are directly taken from real world, one can reuse well-developed and well-tested objects from one system to another system. That is, once you have designed the registration module, you can use it for library registration, you can use it for mail registration, or you can use it for college registration or event registration with some minor changes, or you can directly use it. Also, it supports the inheritance, which also promotes the reusability, which allows the object to be built from another object, or object to be built, classes to be built from other classes. So why object orientation? Supports reusability. Why object orientation? Seamless transitions from one phase to another. So why object orientation? Higher level of object abstraction. Why object orientation? Reduce maintenance. Maintenance is reduced. The primary goal of object oriented development is that assume that the system will enjoy the longer life while having a smaller maintenance. So today in industry is facing a problem of maintenance. Because development cost is very less, but maintenance cost is very high. To maintaining the software is a problem in industry. So it reduces the maintenance. Then real world modeling. Real world modeling is their object-oriented system to model the real world in a more complete fashion than traditional. That is, whatever the system we are developing, suppose we are developing a banking system using object-oriented. In real world banking also there is account in this, whatever the system we are creating or automating, there is also account object. In real world banking system, there are customers or customer, real world entity. Whatever the banking system we are developing or automating using some program, there is also the customer object. So real world modeling is there. We are nothing doing any hypothetical things or procedural things. So real world, whatever in a real world we are modeling. Objects are organized into classes, objects, and objects are associated with behavior. The model is based on objects rather than the just data and processing. So models are object-oriented models. They are not just a data processing model like DFDs or data process. The flow models like flow charts or some pseudocode. So they are the object models are also whatever the models we are creating, whatever the blueprints we are creating, are real world. So improve reliability and flexibility we can achieve. So object-oriented system promises to be a far more reliable than traditional system. Preliminary, because few behavior can be built from existing object, because objects can be dynamically called and accessed. New objects may be created at any time. Runtime also we can create the new object. New object may inherit data attributes from one or many other objects. So improved reliability and flexibility is there to design, to analyze the system, to implement the system. Higher level code reusability. When new objects is created, it will be automatically inherit the data attributes. So due to all these things, reduce maintenance, real world modeling, improved reliability, flexibility, higher code reusability, or higher level of abstraction, seamless transition from one phase to another. We need object orientation, or object orientation is the need of today's world. or today's software development. So thank you, student, for watching this video from Rise and Shine. We will create more such videos on your academic subject as well as on the new technologies such as Python or web development using Angular. So there are lots of video on our channel. So our channel gives you information from KG to PG and from simple stotras to syntax. So keep watching, keep learning. If you really feel this video is informative for you, my student, please like, share this video and subscribe to our channel Rise and Shine. So my dear student, keep watching, keep learning. Till then, bye bye.